Chapter 21 Silver-Haired Dead Fish Eyes. Please read and vote for me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time could be a factor, but the sample size was too small to confirm. Naruto stretched out and fell asleep, then remembered he had classes tomorrow, which was a big deal for a genin. The next day in class, Naruto walked in and was immediately met with stares. Before anyone could discuss what happened yesterday, they were amazed by the changes in him. He wore the same outfit as always, a white hoodie and gray cropped pants. The only difference was the Konoha forehead protector tied to his left arm. Even though they'd only seen him yesterday afternoon, it felt like they hadn't seen him in years, like a long-awaited reunion. Naruto seemed more mature, with an adult vibe. The students whispered, afraid of being overheard. Sasuke Uchiha kept turning around, hesitant. He wanted to ask something, but the classroom was too crowded. Naruto noticed but didn't bother to ask. He and Sasuke weren't that close, and he wasn't his follower, so he didn't care. Iruka-sensei arrived and announced team assignments. He read the names one by one, until Team 7, Sakura Haruno, Naruto Uzumaki, and Sasuke Uchiha. Sakura slammed her hand on the desk and stood up. Something wrong, Sakura? Iruka asked. She glanced at Naruto. No, it's nothing. Reluctantly, Sakura, always a good student, couldn't go against her teacher. She really didn't want to be on the same team as Naruto. She already disliked him. Lately, he'd been even more outrageous, beating up Sasuke and a teacher yesterday. Naruto caught her eye and tilted his head. He used to have a crush on this girl, seemed ridiculous now. He didn't know what he'd been thinking. Her look was no different from how everyone else in the village looked at him. Iruka continued announcing the team assignments. Some students were happy, others disappointed. After lunch, each team's jonin took them away. Team 7's instructor was taking his sweet time. Sakura was anxious, her eyes darting around, mostly settling on Sasuke Uchiha, sometimes flickering to Naruto. The weight was killing her, but those two seemed unfazed. Naruto, Sasuke said firmly, how did you do that yesterday? That he had decided to swallow his pride and ask advice from someone he'd always considered inferior. Naruto blinked, then blurted out, yesterday. What happened? For him, yesterday was a distant 6 years ago. But the memory was still clear. Nothing related to Sasuke happened. How did you beat Mizuki-sensei? Sasuke gritted his teeth. The blonde kid hadn't done anything obvious, but his attitude stung. Just one night, just yesterday afternoon, and he'd already forgotten. Didn't he take it seriously at all? Mizuki was a chunin. Naruto shrugged. Was it hard to beat him? He's nothing special. Compared to the hollows he'd fought in Soul Society, Mizuki was insignificant. Sasuke clenched his fists. A chunin. He had the gall to look down on a chunin. How strong was Naruto now? How did you get so strong? Sasuke's voice wavered, betraying his desperate desire for power. Become stronger? Naruto's thoughts drifted to Soul Society. He shook his head and smiled. I'm not chasing power anymore. I'm chasing something to protect. Look within yourself. And do your best. He wasn't planning on telling anyone about Soul Society. It was his own secret. Sasuke stared, distracted. Protect something? Did it have to be that way? All he had was revenge. He was about to ask, when the door slid open, a drawling voice cut through the air. Sorry I'm late. It's been a while since I've been to the academy. I got a little lost. A man walked in, most of his face hidden by a mask and forehead protector, exposing only his right eye and a mop of silver hair. He apologized, but his dead fish eyes lacked sincerity. Are you Team 7? Mind if I borrow the classroom? He casually sat on the podium. Let's start with introductions. Naruto and Sasuke stared in silence. Sakura couldn't help but say, Sensei, you go first, to set an example. The silver-haired man shook his head. Me? My name is Kakashi Hitaki. I don't feel like sharing my likes and dislikes, and I don't really have dreams. I have a lot of hobbies, though. He paused. Sakura stared. Was that it? Okay, Kakashi clapped his hands. Your turn. Just follow my lead. He pointed a finger at Sakura's forehead. You go first. Sakura's introduction was bland, revolving entirely around Sasuke. next was Sasuke. His introduction was as gloomy as he was. When he spoke of his dream, he vowed to rebuild the Uchiha clan and kill a certain man. The murderous intent was faint, but real. Then it was Naruto's turn. When he finally introduced his dream, he paused and looked out the window, confused. I haven't decided yet. I guess I want to meet my parents. Kakashi went silent, looking down. Naruto immediately noticed, why did he seem so sad when he mentioned his parents? The emotion was fleeting, and Kakashi muttered, that's the self-introductions done. Now for something serious. Your first mission starts tomorrow. A survival exercise. Sakura groaned. Why an exercise? We did those all the time in the academy. This isn't a normal exercise. Kakashi stood. Your opponent is me. He held up his left hand and made a 9 with the fingers on his right. Out of the 27 graduates, only 9 will be recognized as genin. Tomorrow's survival exercise is the assessment. Panic flashed across Sakura's face. Naruto and Sasuke's expressions didn't change. See you tomorrow. Kakashi waved a sign with one hand and vanished in a puff of smoke. What, he shows up late and leaves early? Sakura complained. Naruto stood, staring at the spot where Kakashi had been standing. When Iruka made the teams, he realized that some special students were destined to be grouped together. Like the trio who were inseparable since childhood, Shikamaru Nara, Choji Akimichi, and Ino Yamanaka were grouped together. He was the nine-tailed Jinchuriki and Sasuke was the last of the Uchiha clan. Sakura didn't seem special, but even her mediocrity, plus himself and Sasuke, was enough for Konoha to make special arrangements, and Kakashi's mood swings. Kakashi must be connected to his parents. Naruto, you still haven't said. Sasuke was unwilling to give up and wanted to continue their earlier conversation. Naruto shook his head. Let's prepare for tomorrow's assessment first. Meet me at the school gate in 3 hours. Sakura looked lost. Meet? Why? To share information about Kakashi-sensei, obviously. Naruto said, matter-of-factly. He paused and asked, you weren't planning on gathering intel? Kakashi-sensei said he'll be our opponent tomorrow. Intelligence is the first battle for ninjas. Sasuke pursed his lips, silent. Was this the difference between him and Naruto? He hadn't considered that. Sakura stared at Naruto. He really had changed. See you in 3 hours. Naruto jumped up, leaped out the window, and vanished. Chapter 22. This kid is so terrifying. Please read and vote for me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 22. This guy's seriously scary. Please read vote. A breeze slipped into the house. Sasuke left without a word. Sakura clenched her fists, fuming. If Naruto hadn't blurted out those weird comments, she and Sasuke would have had a perfect chance to hang out. 3 hours later, the three of them met up at the Ninja Academy entrance. Got all the info? Naruto asked, his voice low. Let's share with Sakura. Sakura. Sakura blinked, surprised. She used to dream of Naruto calling her that instead of constantly yelling, Sakura, Sakura. Now that he actually did, it felt strange. I asked my dad about him, Sakura said. He said Mr. Hitaki's a super skilled jonin. They call him Copy Ninja, Konoha's tech genius, and Kakashi of the Sharingan. Sasuke nodded, his tone serious. My intel lines up with Sakura's. He frowned, clearly bothered, ignoring Sakura's shy offer to just call me Sakura. Sharingan, that's a bloodline trait unique to the Uchiha clan. Only those with Uchiha blood should have it. How could someone named Hitaki possess it? Was there another Uchiha hidden in Konoha? I dug up a little more than you guys, Naruto said, pulling out a sheet of paper. Hitaki Kakashi, 26 years old, is the most gifted ninja Konoha's ever seen. Graduated from the Ninja Academy at 5, became a Chunin at 6. Sasuke's head snapped up. A Chunin at 6 years old? Seriously? He's that amazing? Sakura gasped. She hadn't really grasped it from her dad's description, but the age benchmarks put things in perspective. Naruto kept reading. His dad was Hatake Tsukumo. After graduating, his mentor was Namikaze Minato, the fourth Hokage. His teammates were Noara Rin and Uchiha Obito. He paused, staring at the name Namikaze Minato. Bingo, he was tied to his dad. His student. Sasuke clenched his fist, recognizing his clan member's name. Where did he get the Sharingan? Became the youngest Jonin in Konoha's history at 12. His records are vague after 14, Naruto continued. He reappeared at 20, quickly earning the title Sakura mentioned with incredible power. Knows thousands of ninjutsu. His summoning contract is with ninja dogs. Sakura stared at the paper in Naruto's hand, finally understanding what felt off. Naruto, where did you even get this info? And what is that paper? Naruto's face was calm. I snagged Hitaki's file. The other two stared, stunned. He stole files. Was that even allowed? Naruto, isn't that, wrong? Sakura asked, a little panicked. Naruto said confidently, it's the fastest and most accurate way to get the scoop. Before Sakura could protest, he handed the paper to Sasuke. Normally, a freshly graduated genin team, even working together, couldn't beat an elite jonin like him. Wilderness survival is about skill and mindset. He was already thinking like a team leader, a manager. If you know what you're up against and plan accordingly, you should be able to pass the test. No matter how tough it is, 3 genin couldn't take down a seasoned jonin. Sasuke, instead of reading the file, looked at Naruto, puzzled. What did he mean by normally? Did he think he could fight Hatake Kakashi head-on? Memorize this, Naruto said, standing. I'm heading back. He was starting to look forward to tomorrow. He was looking forward to meeting Hatake Kakashi, the one connected to his father. The next day, training ground 3, Kakashi was late again. Ignoring Sakura's angry complaints, he gave his usual sheepish smile, then pulled a clock out of his pack, placing it on a tree stump. The hands pointed to 10:15 a.m. I told you yesterday we'd be doing a mission. So, let's talk about the objective. Kakashi pulled 2 bells out of his pocket. I've set the clock for noon. Your job is to take these bells from me before it rings. Ann. He shook the bells. Ding-a-ling-ling. Notice there are only 2. That means one of you will fail and be sent back to the academy. Naruto and Sasuke didn't react. Sakura was nervous, the pressure already making her anxious. Looking good isn't enough, Kakashi said, holding up the bells. Naruto, I hear you stole my file. But now you know the kind of ninja I am. Naruto wasn't surprised. He knew, when he'd gone to the Hokage building yesterday, for different sources of chakra had been watching him beside Sarutobi Hiruzen. Kakashi tied the bells to his waist, his tone relaxed. Since you've done your homework, I'll give you another hint. Unless you're prepared to kill me, you won't get these bells. Okay. Let's get started. As soon as he spoke, 2 figures leaped away, one to the left, one to the right, disappearing into the trees surrounding the training ground. Naruto didn't move. Kakashi looked at him. Not joining your teammates? Hiding your presence is the most basic technique. Naruto shook his head. Teacher Kakashi, the mission is to get the bells from you. You knew we were coming and knew we'd attack. Hiding won't make a difference. Kakashi said softly, is that what you think? But I'm a jonin, a head-on fight isn't going to work for you. Naruto smiled gently. Maybe I'll surprise you. He slowly drew his sword. Unlike at the academy, he carried both swords, hanging them at his waist. A sword? Kakashi's visible eye gleamed with interest. Didn't know you used one. You brought 2. One as a backup. Seems cumbersome. Looks nice. But you can't master swordsmanship in a few days. And for a ninja sword, it's pretty long. Naruto grinned, gathering chakra at his feet. Whoosh. He shot forward instantly. Kakashi's eyes narrowed. It was the body flicker technique, but different, faster than it had been just a couple weeks before. Clang. Naruto swung his sword, and Kakashi blocked with 2 kunai, sparks flying as the blades met. Kakashi's eyebrows shot up, the kunai wobbled, the one in his right hand cracking, not from the force of the blow, but from the sword itself. That dark red blade was a famous weapon. Where had he gotten it? There probably wasn't a better sword in all of Konoha. Naruto spun and slashed again. After a dozen strikes, Kakashi was genuinely surprised. Naruto's swordsmanship wasn't perfect, but he was skilled, with no obvious weaknesses. This wasn't something you could learn overnight. It had taken him 4 or 5 years to get this good, and he'd had his father's guidance. He hadn't heard from the third Hokage that Naruto was secretly training. Then it had to be talent. We're all blondes monsters. Please read vote. Chapter 23, Unqualified. Please read and vote for me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 23, Unqualified. Hatake and Naruto were pretty evenly matched physically. Sure, Naruto's body was still growing. Kakashi had the edge in height, reach, strength, and raw speed, but Naruto had a sword, not one of those short ninja swords designed for stealth. This was a full-on fighting sword. Every extra inch made a difference. It compensated for any physical disadvantage. Kakashi realized it instantly. Naruto's taijutsu skills were seriously impressive. No wonder Mizuki couldn't handle him. If Naruto's body matured, if he gained adult strength, he could be a special jounin even without ninjutsu. Maybe even a jounin like Might Guy. He couldn't beat Naruto with just physical skills. This wasn't going to work. The kunai scraped against Naruto's blade, a grating, high-pitched sound, *snap star. The kunai, overwhelmed after a few strikes, shattered. Naruto brought his sword down hard. Kakashi, seemingly unconcerned about the quality of his kunai, took the blow head-on. Sakura couldn't help but scream from the forest. Sasuke's eyes went wide. Could Naruto actually defeat a jounin in a straight-up fight? Naruto frowned. He'd cut down plenty of hollows and sparred with a lot of people. Something felt wrong. Too dull. It was a combo of the clone technique and the substitution jutsu. He focused, his senses expanded, revealing 4 chakra signatures representing Kakashi, one right in front of him, one underground, one to the left, and one to the right. Unlike Sasuke's clones, these were all identical, each with its own perfect network, shadow clones. Each one as real as the original. Okay, then, Naruto leaped back, weaved the hand seals, and 2 shadow clones popped into existence. One charged the Kakashi clone on the left, the other the one on the right. Naruto gripped his sword with both hands, blade pointing down, and used his falling momentum to drive it downward. The chakra signature underground scrambled to break free. The 2 clones on the left and right vanished without needing to be attacked, conserving chakra. Kakashi, now covered in dirt, stared at Naruto in surprise. Was this the sensory talent of the Uzumaki clan? He immediately understood that even the shadow clone distraction hadn't worked, and those 2 clones Naruto had just created, they weren't just regular clones. They were multiple shadow clones, an A-rank ninjutsu. Ninjutsu rankings weren't about power, but about the difficulty of learning and mastering the technique. The harder the jutsu, the higher the rank. And generally, the harder it was to learn, the more powerful it would also be. When had Naruto learned that jutsu? 2 nights ago. Yesterday, he'd been in class at the academy. He'd mastered an A-rank technique in, at most, 2 nights. Kakashi studied Naruto. For the first time in years, he was really looking at him. He had his teacher's hair and eye color, and his master's mother's facial features and eye shape. But when it came to talent, had he somehow inherited the best of both worlds? You're not just some genin fresh out of the academy, Naruto, Kakashi said quietly. Naruto raised his sword and grinned. Kakashi-sensei, I told you I'd surprise you. Kakashi raised his hands, palms forward, in front of his chest. But ninja battles are about more than just brute strength. He lightly hopped onto the surface of the water, standing still without sinking. No attack came. He also remembered his mission, to hold the bells, not to take the offensive. Naruto glanced at his feet before stepping onto the water. So, chakra can do this too. Splash! Naruto stomped down, sending up sprays of water that reached his knees. But quickly, the splashes grew smaller and smaller. After 4 or 5 steps, he stood as effortlessly on the water as if he were on solid ground. His 2 clones followed. Kakashi's eyes narrowed. He'd learned it already. How good was his chakra control? Right, though, essentially, it wasn't all that different from the body flicker technique he'd used earlier. The blade slashed. Kakashi responded hastily, quickly forming a hand seal. The jolt ran through him. A thin, golden electrical arc pulsed from the blade. Binding Arts number 11, Bound by Thunder. Without the full incantation, the power was limited. It didn't cause any real damage, and the paralysis was brief, but it bought Naruto a split second. A shadow clone snatched a bell hanging from Kakashi's waist. With a clang, it flew through the air and landed in Naruto's hand. Lightning release. Kakashi flexed his wrist. They don't teach that in the academy. It wasn't particularly powerful, and he hadn't seen any hand seals, channeling chakra through a weapon. Doesn't mean I can't use it, Naruto said with a smile, shaking the bell, not offering an explanation. Kakashi lowered his head, not pressing the issue. I thought you'd take both. A man only needs one, Naruto replied. He waved his hand, dispersing his clones, stomped on the water, and leaped back to shore. Clearly, he had no intention of continuing. Kakashi shook his head, stepped back onto the shore, and looked at Naruto with a complicated expression. His back reminded him of himself at 12 years old. He relied on his own guts and stubbornly followed his own path. Naruto was pleased. He'd shown his strengths to his father's disciple. His brother had to be proud. The other two posed no threat to Kakashi. Sasuke, the best of the graduates, could use a fire-release ninjutsu and had almost grabbed the bell, but Kakashi had buried him in the ground. Sakura was hanging in a tree. They all sat down next to the wooden post, waiting for the timer to go off, except for Naruto, who already had a bell. The other two were understandably nervous. Kakashi was silent. Finally, as Sakura and Sasuke grew increasingly uneasy, he spoke. Naruto, I have to admit, you performed exceptionally well today. Your skills and your tactics were both above standard. Naruto was surprised. He didn't sound happy. Was the butt about to drop? Sure enough, it was. But why didn't you continue to participate in the mission? Kakashi asked, a hint of accusation in his voice. Naruto picked at the bell. I completed the objective. But your teammates haven't, Kakashi said bluntly. With your help, they would have had a chance to get a bell, too. The joy Naruto had felt all morning was doused with cold water. Why should I help them? And who should I help? There are only 2 bells for 3 people. Kakashi shook his head, his tone cold. I designed it that way on purpose. I wanted to see which of you could put the team before your own interests. He paused. Sakura Haruno and Sasuke Uchiha, you both fought alone. Naruto Uzumaki, you had the ability to help, but you just sat there and did nothing. Individual strength is important, but teamwork is even more important. Especially for you, Naruto Uzumaki. You could have made this team better. My evaluation is, you're all unqualified. Naruto's face hardened. Hatake-sensei, you created a competitive situation and then expected people in that situation to think about cooperating. Don't you think that's ridiculous? In the task you set, if I help one person, the other one is eliminated. Instead of thinking about the logic of your task, you blame me for not doing better. And there's something I need to correct. He tossed the bell down, and it rolled to Kakashi's feet with a clatter. Sakura Haruno, Sasuke Uchiha, and I aren't a team yet. We were just assigned together after graduation by Iruka-sensei. Sakura Haruno doesn't want a teammate like me. The pink-haired girl's heart skipped a beat, and she lowered her head, but didn't deny it. Sasuke Uchiha doesn't consider me a teammate either. Sasuke's expression was grim. Naruto stood up, looked at Kakashi, and spoke forcefully. They haven't accepted me. So why should I accept them? Chapter 24 Kakashi, please read and vote. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The air hung heavy, stifling even Sakura's breath. Sasuke's fists were clenched tight. Naruto, surprisingly calm, wore a blank expression, tinged with a hint of disappointment and resentment. He hadn't received the dad's disciple perk, and despite his performance, not even a decent compliment. That stung. He knew Kakashi was aware of his parentage. Kakashi was a jonin before Naruto was even born. If he didn't know, the extent of Konoha's deliberate deception would be horrifying. He should have been angrier. He leaned toward the former explanation, but if that was the case, why the lack of favoritism? He'd spun a yarn for Kakashi last night, a justification for his absence these past years, the need to safeguard the Ninetales Jinchuriki. He'd vented his grievances through those words, ready to pick a fight. If Kakashi hadn't been a fourth Hokage disciple, he wouldn't have gotten so worked up. Being a ninja wasn't the only path. Kakashi looked down at the discarded bells, now dusty at his feet. That aggressive tone, just like Kushina. Could he argue? Not really. It wasn't just nonsense. It was well reasoned. When had he grasped the importance of teamwork? After Obito's sacrifice, probably. He raised his head, and Naruto's bright, golden hair caught his eye. The three before him, one lost his parents at birth, ostracized by the village, friendless. Another lost his entire family to his own brother at a young age, and Sakura, blessed with both parents, was still just a lovesick kid. Expecting them to instantly grasp teamwork was a tall order. How had Minato-sensei treated them at the start? He needed to be more patient. Besides, he couldn't actually send them back to the academy. He knew that threat wouldn't faze Naruto. With that in mind. Impressive, Naruto, Kakashi said, his tone less severe. You're definitely different from the other punks. For a genin fresh out of the academy, you're already doing great. Both you and Sasuke have talents that far surpass other students. And Sakura. He paused, searching for something positive. Well, you're certainly brave. The criticism was just to drive home the importance of teamwork. He glanced toward the back of the training ground. There, a stone tablet stood, etched with countless names. A friend once told me, those who abandon their comrades are worse than scum. The three of you will fight together, face life and death together, from now on. Naruto frowned. Maybe he was being overly sensitive, but that sentence rubbed him the wrong way. The exercise is over. Kakashi gave a thumbs up. Congratulations, you're all genin now. Starting tomorrow, we'll officially begin our duties as Team 7. Sakura's heart had been racing, but finally calmed. That was close. Sasuke visibly relaxed. Naruto stared at Kakashi. He understood. This was a compromise for the sake of the mission. Still, he wished Kakashi's earlier stance had been firmer. He might have been able to corner him and force some answers. The tension dissipated. Kakashi treated them to barbecue to celebrate their graduation. Later that night, in the Hokage building, Kakashi reported the exercise to Hiruzen. The third Hokage puffed on his pipe. Naruto is an excellent swordsman, and he can use lightning release without hand signs. Yes, Kakashi confirmed. Hiruzen's voice was laced with concern. Could he have been taught by a ninja from another village? Kakashi hesitated. I doubt it. Naruto's sword is a katana. Only the samurai of the Land of Iron use that type of blade. His style is different from theirs. And it's unlike any style used by sword-wielding ninjas I've encountered. As for the lightning release, I suspect Naruto developed it himself. Hiruzen raised his eyebrows. Developed it himself? That's remarkable. Naruto just graduated the academy. He's only 12. Kakashi recalled their fight that day. He's a genius. He invented that strange body flicker technique, and mastered the multiple shadow clone jutsu in 2 nights. He saw me walk on water, and pulled it off after 5 tries. He is Minato-sensei's son, after all. It wasn't surprising that a man of such talent would have a son of similar ability. Kakashi paused, then changed the subject. That doesn't rule out the possibility of Naruto having contact with outsiders. He has 2 swords, but he only used one during the exercise. The one he used is a famous sword capable of channeling chakra. The other he carries but didn't use is also suited for sword fighting. I suspect it's of similar caliber. Hiruzen stroked his beard. *2 famous swords. Most importantly, Kakashi continued, his tone serious, I'm afraid Naruto harbors deep resentment toward the village. He repeated Naruto's final words. They don't accept me, why should I accept them? Hiruzen repeated, his thoughts drifting. Resentment toward the village. We haven't handled this well, it's true. Kakashi, I'm sorry to ask this of you. Kakashi nodded, his expression somber. And the other two? Hiruzen asked. Kakashi answered, Sasuke's driven by revenge. He's talented, too. He performed adequately. And Sakura. Why did you decide to put her on the team? That her performance was mediocre. She had no special lineage or talent. She might be a top student amongst ordinary genin, but the gap between her and Sasuke and Naruto was huge. Irika told me that Naruto has a crush on her, Hiruzen smiled. Love can change a Jinchuriki. Like Naruto's mother, Uzumaki Kushina, had been. Kakashi hesitated. Lord Third, I doubt Naruto is interested in Sakura. He calmly stated that she wouldn't want to be his teammate. Hiruzen frowned and grew silent, puffing harder on his pipe. Irika had promised him Naruto liked Sakura, he wouldn't lie, which meant, in the past half-month, Naruto had changed drastically. The information was outdated. After a long pause, he said gravely, our view of Naruto needs to change, and Naruto's view of the village must change, too. Neither will happen quickly. Changing Naruto's view of the village might be easier than changing the village's view of Naruto. Kakashi, I'm entrusting this to you. Whether he's the fourth son or a Jinchuriki, Naruto can't afford to lose anything. I will create the best possible environment for you. He believed time would heal everything. He had waited until Naruto graduated, and he had the patience to wait further into the future, until Naruto came of age, until Naruto was 24. Kakashi hung his head and cursed silently, changed Naruto's view of the village. He had a feeling it would be harder than changing the village's view of Naruto. That kid was too mature for his own good. Chapter 25 Who is the target? Please read and vote for me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Edited content. The life of a ninja. Not exactly a thrill ride, especially if you're just a genin. For Sakura Haruno and Sasuke Uchiha, it's a monotonous grind of low-level tasks. Fishing trash out of the river, sweeping the streets, tracking down lost pets for rich folks, and if you're lucky, chasing away some wild animals from the farms. Naruto saw through it, though. These jobs weren't as simple as they seemed. It was all about schmoozing the public or sucking up to the rich, a calculated effort to build their reputations in the village. Not that it was making much difference. Mostly, they just ran into nobles and big spenders who recognized them on the street. That was pretty much their only takeaway from the last month. Naruto's opinion of Kakashi was sinking fast. As their team leader, he practically ignored his genin. Seriously, worst leader ever. Shunsui was way more involved. Sasuke had tried asking Kakashi about his Sharingan, but Kakashi dodged the question, so Sasuke dropped it. Naruto had straight up asked Kakashi to teach them some ninjutsu. Kakashi's response. Telling Sasuke and Sakura to practice tree climbing and water walking, total hands-off approach. Major slacker. Then came the day they handed in their latest mission to the Hokage. Impressive, Team 7, Hiruzen Sarutobi said, smiling as he scanned the mission report. Efficient and handled well. Silence. The four of them stood at attention. How are you feeling after a month of these types of missions? Hiruzen Sarutobi took his pipe and tapped it against the table, knocking out the ash. Bored. Uninspired. Naruto couldn't care less. Sasuke didn't say anything. He felt like he was getting stronger, and that's all that mattered. The mission itself was irrelevant. Sakura felt the same way, but she kept her mouth shut. Given your skills and performance, it's time to take on something more challenging, Hiruzen Sarutobi said, grabbing a scroll from the table. Let's see what we've got. How about this one? A C-rank protection mission. He tossed the scroll over. Kakashi stepped aside. Naruto snatched it out of the air, scanning the contents. Objective: protect the bridge builder, Tazuna, from the land of waves, until the Wave Country Bridge is completed. They left to get ready. With a nod from Hiruzen Sarutobi, Kakashi followed him out of the room and into another office. Hokage-sama, what's up? Kakashi asked. That mission is more complex than a typical C rank, Hiruzen Sarutobi said, puffing on his pipe. According to Intel, the client lied. This mission will involve ninja. Possibly even Zabuza Momochi. Kakashi replied quietly, then it should be classified as an A-rank mission. Is it too soon to send them? Naruto's strong, but Sasuke and Sakura. Hiruzen Sarutobi cut him off. The joint Chunin exams with the Sand Village are in a month. Intel suggests they're sending the One-Tail Jinchuriki. Kakashi was shocked. The One-Tail, the joint Chunin exam between allied villages was a battle of national pride. The Sand Village's ambition was clear, they were hoping to outshine Konoha and win more support from the Wind Country, boosting their status in the alliance. Hiruzen Sarutobi changed the subject. What have you observed about Naruto lately? Kakashi shook his head. Nothing out of the ordinary. His performance has been excellent. Character, ability, talent, he checks all the boxes. You could argue that he's leading Team 7. Hiruzen Sarutobi pondered, his tone firm. No. These exams are crucial. Konoha can't afford to lose. Naruto has to participate. Which means we need to eliminate any remaining risks. We have to confirm Naruto's strength. Make sure he has no contact with anyone from other villages. And verify the seal on the Nine Tails. A C-rank mission outside the village is the only way to get the data we need. I'll have shadow them to ensure Sasuke and Sakura's safety. Kakashi lowered his head, then spoke. Naruto has the sensory abilities of the Uzumaki clan. I'll tell them to be discreet, Hiruzen Sarutobi said softly. Just pay attention, Kakashi. You're the closest one to Naruto. Konoha Village's main gate, Naruto and the team met their client. Tazuna was a drunken old coot. You're sending these kids. I'm paying good money, and Konoha sends these guys. Sakura Haruno's fists clenched. Sasuke Uchiha gritted his teeth, annoyed at being underestimated. Naruto answered calmly. Genin are more than capable of completing C-rank missions. Plus, a Jonin will be supervising. Rest assured, sir. Tazuna glanced at Naruto, shivered, and mumbled, that one's different from the other two. Right on cue, Kakashi was late. His flimsy excuse made Tazuna's heart sink. This was a Jonin. He didn't seem too dependable. Of the four, only the short blonde kid gave him a feeling of confidence. Alright, let's move out, Kakashi ordered. Not far from the village, Naruto glanced toward the trees. He sensed multiple chakras mixed together, some strong, some weak, some moving through the woods, others perched in the trees, then they vanished, just passing by. Naruto refocused. The road ahead was quiet, and Tazuna started complaining about the situation in his country, the hardships they faced. Only a bridge could save the land of waves, dragging them out of poverty. No bridge meant death. By the third time Tazuna told the story, Naruto suddenly stepped in front of Tazuna, staring at a puddle ahead. What's wrong? Tazuna asked, startled. He looked around but saw nothing. He burped. You scared me, kid. Naruto said softly, two ninja up ahead. I caught their chakra signature when we left the village. They're ambushing us. Sasuke threw a kunai at the puddle. He knew about Naruto's sensory abilities. Clang. An iron claw burst from the water, deflecting the kunai. A brat with sensory skills. An iron chain lashed out from behind, accompanied by a snarl. How rare. Naruto drew his sword. Hideo 11, with lightning, he called, sending golden light down the blade. The two ninja, still standing in the water, froze, paralyzed. He stepped forward. Instead of swinging the sword, he waved his hand. Golden chakra rope snaked from his palm, binding the two ninja. Kakashi's eyes narrowed. Another technique he'd never seen. Still no hand signs needed. The golden rope looked a bit like the Vajralok Tsunade used, but it was different. A rope, not a chain. In the blink of an eye, the enemy was neutralized. Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno barely had time to protect Tazuna. The drunken old man didn't even have time to register that they had been attacked. Naruto put his blade to one of the ninjas' necks. Who sent you to attack Tazuna? That he wasn't sure who they were after. Maybe Tazuna, maybe himself. Sasuke Uchiha was a valuable asset. 2. This interrogation was a technique Captain Yi had taught him. Please read, please vote. Chapter 26 Momochi Zabuza appears. Please read and vote. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Chapter 26, Momochi Zabuza appears. Please read and vote. Kakashi hung back, observing, the two ninja, silent in response to Naruto's question, just lowered their heads. They weren't about to spill the beans just because he asked, but their stubborn silence spoke volumes. Instead of acting surprised or denying Naruto's question outright, they stonewalled, confirming the truth with their resistance. Naruto cocked his head, looking at Kakashi, with the enemy's target confirmed as Tazuna. It was time for the leader to make a call. Kakashi waved a hand, looking intrigued. Okay, Naruto said, turning his attention to Tazuna. Kakashi wasn't just ducking responsibility, he wanted to see how Naruto would play this. Mr. Tazuna, you're the target, Naruto stated, pulling out the mission scroll. This is different from what you told us. We need some answers. Tazuna sighed, scratched his head, and launched into a more detailed version of his previous complaints. The culprit behind the bridge sabotage was a ruthless tycoon named Gato. Naruto nodded. In that case, we're going back to the village. Tazuna's face fell. You're quitting the mission. If I die, my daughter and grandson will be left with nothing. Are you backing down, Naruto? Kakashi added. Naruto shot him a surprised look. That wasn't something a leading jonin should say. This is for the team, Kakashi-sensei, Naruto countered seriously. Then, turning back to Tazuna, he explained, it's not about quitting. It's about finding someone else for the job. When we left the village, I sensed a lot of chakra gathering nearby, keeping tabs on us. Including these two. If we keep going, we're going to run into more enemies. He paused, glancing at his teammates. Kakashi-sensei and I can handle these two ninjas without breaking a sweat. Sasuke might even be able to take one in a one-on-one fight. But Sakura, I'm afraid you'd be toast in seconds. Sakura's eyes widened, her face paling. And there from the hidden mist, Naruto continued, tapping one of the men on the forehead with his kunai. No scratches, so they're not rogue ninja. They could be hiding their identities. But even so, it's the hidden mist, the land of water. It's better to let the village handle it. Kakashi tilted his head, thinking. I only had enough money to hire you, Tazuna said, clutching his sake bottle. I'm broke. Naruto glanced at him. Lay off the booze, and you might be able to afford another chunin. There's no ninja village in the land of waves. Opening up the road might be good for your village. Explain the pros and cons, and you might get support from Konoha. And if not, I can even lend you the money. Once the bridge is built, you'll have plenty of opportunities to pay it back. He paused and looked at Kakashi. Kakashi didn't respond right away, he was impressed by Naruto's handling of the situation. Leadership skills and the ability to act independently were part of the requirements for chunin promotion, but Naruto was showing skills that rivaled some jonin. His logic was sound and his intentions were clear. What touched him most was Naruto's offer to lend Tazuna the money. The kindness of his mentor and his wife had been passed down to him, but why was he so good at this? Dealing with this situation wasn't like mastering ninjutsu through talent and hard work. No matter how gifted a ninja was, they had to learn how to handle these kinds of situations step by step. This was a matter of understanding, not talent. Even the fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze, had to learn over time to become so skilled. Kakashi-sensei. Naruto prompted. Kakashi snapped back to attention. You're right, Naruto. But once a ninja accepts a mission, we don't just give up. And you have to be able to protect your teammates. Naruto nodded. That's settled then. Kakashi bit his thumb and formed a seal, initiating the summoning jutsu. He slammed his hand on the ground, the cursed seal spread. Summoning jutsu, 8 ninja hounds. A burst of white smoke cleared twice as fast. In the center of the formation created by the cursed seal, 8 dogs materialized, all different shapes, sizes, and colors. Hey, Kakashi, why are you calling us all out? A pug lying on top of the biggest, Black Bulldog said lazily. Doesn't look like there's a fight, and you don't seem too stressed. Parker, I'm leading my students on a mission. Of course I'm stressed, Kakashi corrected him. I need you to do something. Parker responded with a woof. Take these two ninja from the hidden mist back to Konoha. Tell the Hokage that the intelligence on our mission was wrong. We're likely to encounter a lot more ninja and need reinforcements. Parker nodded and jumped off the Black Bulldog. Got it. Kakashi tossed the two ninja onto the bulldog, the ninja hounds disappeared, Kakashi narrowed his eyes and smiled. Let's keep moving. Sasuke didn't object, he was eager to test his skills in a real fight. Sakura was worried. Naruto's comment about being toast had rattled her, but with Naruto, Kakashi, and Sasuke by her side, she thought she'd be alright. Naruto looked at Kakashi strangely. This was a decision that flew in the face of common sense. Not only was finding someone else not the same as abandoning the mission, but using the ninja hounds to send a message wasn't the best solution. It felt like he was urging them to continue the mission. He didn't say anything, just observed. They continued on their way. Tazuna was grateful. After Naruto's persuasion, he'd resigned himself to the idea of finding replacement ninja. Now, without spending a dime, he could keep Naruto, who made him feel safer. This was the best possible outcome. Until they reached the border between the land of fire and the land of waves, they didn't encounter any new enemies. They boarded a boat and crossed the sea. As they approached the land of waves, a thick fog rolled in. They were smuggled into the country through the sewers, and then walked for a while. Finally, they disembarked, walking through the familiar forest. Tazuna stretched comfortably. Thanks to you guys, I can get home safe. It's not as dangerous as you said. So far, we haven't run into anyone else trying to stop us. He said. Naruto suddenly turned his head, looking into the dense forest. Enemy? Sasuke instantly drew a kunai. Naruto nodded. Yeah, someone's been watching us for a while. The chakra isn't weak. A little weaker than Kakashi-sensei. A little weaker than a jonin. That meant the enemy. Whoosh. A violent wind swept through, and a black shadow charged from the forest. It crashed through the leaves and bushes, it slammed into a tree trunk, embedding itself deeply. It was a massive sword, defying all specifications. It shook, and the leaves rustled down. Before a single leaf hit the ground, a figure quietly appeared, stepping onto the sword. That blonde kid's got a good eye. Does he have some kind of sense? No wonder the demon brothers failed. And the copy ninja, Kakashi Hatake. Didn't expect to meet you here. There was no doubt, he was a jonin. Please vote for the monthly ticket. Thanks to the support of 4 seasons Inga, My Heart is Lower Than the World, Book Friend Tale number 1635, Kirito, and others. Chapter 27 Momochi Zabuza Falls. Please read and vote. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 27, Zabuza Falls. Please read and vote. His face was covered just like Kakashi's, with only his eyes showing above the mask. Those eyebrowless eyes were genuinely unsettling. He spoke down to them, his tone cold. Sorry, but the old man behind you is my target. Mind stepping aside? Kakashi frowned, his voice grim. It's you, Zabuza Momochi, the demon of the hidden mist. He started to give Team 7 instructions, but Naruto cut him off. Kakashi-sensei, there's a chakra signature at 7 o'clock in the woods, Naruto said, taking charge. Stronger than Iruka-sensei, but weaker than this eyebrowless dude. That must be his partner. Kakashi-sensei, you go deal with him. Naruto paused, gripping the hilt of his sword. Sasuke, Sakura, you two protect Tazuna. I'll handle this guy. Kakashi was surprised, then lowered his hand. Understood. Without another word, he vanished. Sasuke and Sakura moved into a defensive formation, with Tazuna safely in the middle. Zabuza stared at Naruto, shocked. Who's the blonde brat who can sense chakra? Kakashi Hatake was an elite jonin, famous for his skill and experience. He was also the oldest and most experienced of them all. Yet, the backbone of this team was this little punk. And Kakashi just left. Did he really think this kid could hold him off? Me? Naruto slowly drew his sword. Uzumaki Naruto. The dark red blade glinted in the light. Zabuza's voice was low, his eyes narrowed. Uzumaki, huh? Nice blade you got there. It's not every day you run into another sword user outside of the Mist Village. But. He crouched slightly, his hand on the hilt of his own massive blade. Too bad I don't have time for a friendly spar. I need to deal with that old man, and you, quickly. With that, he leaped into the air, drawing his sword as he landed lightly on the water's surface. He barely made a ripple, despite carrying such a heavy weapon. He formed a hand seal, chakra surged from him, like a tidal wave, the already thick mist swirled around him, condensing even further, so dense you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. Ninja art, hidden mist jutsu. Even though Naruto Uzumaki could sense him, he still used this ninjutsu to blind them, and there was a purpose to this. Zabuza's chakra permeated the mist. To anyone with sensory abilities, he was everywhere and nowhere, Sakura cried out. I can't see anything. Zabuza's voice echoed around them, coming from every direction. 8 vital points. Lungs, heart, throat, spine, liver, carotid artery, subclavian vein. Which way do you want to die? They couldn't pinpoint the source of his voice. The mist churned, filled with murderous intent from all sides. Sasuke gripped his kunai tightly, sweat trickling down his forehead. He had already experienced purgatory and was extremely sensitive to murderous intent, and he was the first to feel it, and the most deeply. This is the killing intent of a jonin. He couldn't stop the thoughts racing through his head. Damn it, why is my body so stiff? Am I going to die? Will I die if I look at Naruto? I'm going to die. Can't move. The air was thick with tension, and he was suffocating, but then, Naruto, unaffected by the mist, snapped his head around and stared in one direction. Are you kidding me? Guess I wasn't hiding my sensory abilities very well. Zabuza's spiritual energy was practically glowing in front of his eyes, impossible to miss. Naruto grabbed his sword, he leaped forward and swung, clang, the blades met, sparks flying as bits of mist evaporated, revealing Zabuza's shocked face. He can sense me. The mist is useless. What kind of sensory ninjutsu is that? The hidden mist technique is ineffective, and he can engage in close combat. The two swords clashed, a whirlwind of steel. Zabuza gritted his teeth. No wonder Kakashi left so easily. This kid's swordsmanship wasn't so easy to deal with. He needed to end this quickly. His partner couldn't hold Kakashi off for long. In the chaos, the thick fog failed to hinder Naruto but was starting to bother Zabuza. His movements faltered in the mist, his vision blurred. As he closed in, he misjudged Naruto's stance, leaving himself wide open, but Naruto didn't follow up. Instead, he spun around and thrust his sword deep into the swirling white mist. He raised his other hand. Heido number 4, Byakurai, that he didn't chant. A bolt of lightning ripped through the fog, heading towards the point where he had thrust his sword. Really? That's all you got? You think that trick will work twice? Naruto said, I was hoping for a real fight with a jonin. A flash of blue light, the Zabuza that had been there dissolved into water, dripping to the ground. He had used the fog to cover his movements, substituting himself with a water clone at the last second. His real form, ready to strike, was interrupted. A sensory ninja, you're a pain, Zabuza growled, his expression turning even more menacing. He had no choice but to rely on his sword. His executioner's blade was longer, and he was stronger, but it wasn't giving him an advantage. Every time their blades met, a jolt of lightning would erupt, a strange, sealless technique. It didn't do much damage, but it was irritating. It would briefly paralyze him, negating any advantage he gained from his size and strength, even causing small injuries. And what was up with this kid's body? He was so young, yet his stamina was incredible. They had clashed over 20 times, and his hands were starting to get numb. He was taking more punishment, yet seemed unfazed. Was it the legendary Uzumaki constitution? Zabuza's mind raced. This kid was proving to be his natural enemy. he specialized in assassination, relying on stealth and swordsmanship, but Uzumaki Naruto could track his movements at any time, so stealth was out of the question. And his swordsmanship alone couldn't defeat him, the elements combined to form a single conclusion in his mind: escape. If Kakashi returned, he wouldn't stand a chance. He disengaged and tried to retreat. Naruto immediately sensed his intent and reached out. Binding Arts No. 1, Restraint. Zabuza froze as his hands were forced behind his back. Was it a genjutsu controlling his body? Naruto hadn't looked at his hands or his eyes. His chakra instinctively surged to his arms, attempting to disrupt the flow at the chakra points, the most basic way to break a genjutsu. To his surprise, he broke free easily. But as soon as his hands were free, golden ropes appeared, binding his wrists and ankles. Zabuza struggled. Naruto's voice chanted a mantra, barely audible. In the next second, he cut through the golden ropes and regained his freedom, but he couldn't risk interrupting the chant and leaving immediately. Binding Arts No. 30, Mouth Thrust Triple Beam. Naruto had already released the spell. Golden light flashed behind Zabuza, and 3 beams of light shot out, slamming into his hands and torso. He was sent flying, pinned to a nearby tree. Zabuza glared, furious. What kind of ninjutsu was that? A secret sealing technique from the Uzumaki clan? Is that all you've got? Naruto sheathed his sword, his voice calm. A bit disappointing, to be honest. Zabuza gritted his teeth, feeling humiliated, to be spoken to like that by this brat. Damn it, just wanted to say, I'm posting 2 chapters a day because of the new book issue. It hasn't had any recommendations yet, and it's already 60,000 words. This week, it will be around 80,000 words with recommendations, which is quite a bit. Starting points recommendation rules are 4 + 1, 5 weeks total. If this continues, there will be nearly 300,000 words, which will significantly affect the results, but the 4 can be skipped. How much it can be skipped depends on the reader. I'll check it this Sunday. If it's good enough, I'll talk to the editor and skip as many links as possible to see how many hoops I can jump. If I can skip enough, I'll do more during the free period. Of course, I'll put it on the shelves later, so, please read and give me a monthly ticket. Thanks to the leader Dengbao for posting with Dengbao. Thanks to Mr. Wan for the $10,000 reward. Mr. Wan's book This Top Ranker is dedicated to progress is super good. Thanks to Yao Bu Yao and Dragon Emperor of the Gods for the rewards. Chapter 28, Not the Limit Yet. Please read and subscribe. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 28, Not Even Close. Please read vote. With the chakra gone, the fog dissipated. Sasuke and Sakura could see again and looked ahead. The scene was frozen in time. Naruto stood, putting away his blade. Zabuza, the eyebrowless thug, was pinned to a tree. A broken sword lay on the ground. The clang of battle was over, and the winner stood before them. Sasuke clenched his fists, staring at Naruto. He'd thought the gap between them wasn't that big, that he could catch up once he awakened his Sharingan, but, the cold, hard truth was a slap in the face. The distance between them was vast. Naruto had taken down a Jounin, someone who had immobilized him with just a glance. Looking at Naruto's back, Sasuke saw a ghost of Itachi Uchiha, his idolized older brother, another once-in-a-generation talent who'd been a Jounin at 12. Back then, he hadn't understood what Jounin meant, only that his brother was amazing, but now, with Naruto as a benchmark, the path to catching up to Itachi seemed impossibly long. Sasuke, your eyes! Sakura exclaimed, his eyes? Could it be? Surprised, Sasuke pulled a mirror from his pouch. Hearing them, Naruto glanced back. Sasuke's chakra had changed, taking on a colder edge. His eyes were no longer black and white. They were scarlet, with a black dot for a pupil, surrounded by a single tomo, like a guard in orbit, the Sharingan. Sasuke gritted his teeth. The joy of awakening his bloodline was fleeting. Just one tomo, it wasn't enough to beat a Jounin. He looked at Naruto, clenched his fists, and his resolve hardened. If he couldn't even catch up to Naruto, how could he ever reach him? Up in the tree, Zabuza narrowed his eyes. What an opportunity. While they were distracted by the Sharingan brat, he subtly formed a hand seal, quietly channeling chakra, but before he could activate the technique. Snap! Naruto's scabbard slammed into his right hand with a burst of wind. Zabuza looked up, shocked. Naruto grinned. That's the third time, Zabuza. Don't try that again. Zabuza's heart sank. Naruto could still see through him. After Naruto tied him up and chained his fingers, Kakashi hurried back, carrying an unconscious kid who looked to be their age. Oh. Naruto, you already took care of Zabuza. Kakashi stared, surprised at the trussed-up demon of the mist. He believed Naruto could protect Sasuke and Sakura. He'd thought Naruto could stall Zabuza, and then there was the Anbu, Kabutai, tracking them. That's why he'd agreed to Naruto's plan and gone after the other ninja. He'd expected Naruto to hold him off, not defeat him. How did he do it? Naruto grinned. Just got lucky. My jutsu happened to be a good match for him. Lucky? Zabuza scoffed. If he hadn't been focused on escape, he could have held out longer, even without Kakashi as a factor. But even then, he'd eventually be caught, his chakra drained. That kid's techniques were too bizarre, no hand seals, weird effects, they defied ninja common sense. He'd need intel before facing him again. Kakashi didn't press. He'd read the ANBU report after the mission. He tied up both prisoners for the journey back. They were too strong to transport with just ninja hounds. Regarding the girl, Kakashi explained that she was actually a boy, just very pretty, and strong, special jounin level at least. He wielded the ice release bloodline, making him even more valuable than Zabuza. It had taken all Kakashi's effort to take him down. Sasuke grew even more frustrated. The Ninja Academy's praise had given him the illusion of talent, but the reality was, Naruto was improving in leaps and bounds, and even opponents his own age were stronger. As soon as they arrived at Tazuna's house, Sasuke was at Kakashi's door. I want to get stronger. Kakashi didn't mind, and agreed to help. In his spare time, he taught Sasuke Sharingan techniques. The lessons were useless to Naruto and Sakura, who didn't have the Sharingan. At Naruto's insistence, Kakashi copied some notes on sealing jutsu. He was surprised Naruto was interested in sealing. Shouldn't kids that age be chasing raw power, like Sasuke? Reinforcements from Konoha arrived the next day. The leader was a bearded man Kakashi had met during team assignments, Sarutobi Asuma, son of the third Hokage, and his team, Shikamaru, Ino, and Choji. Naruto frowned. They described the situation as critical, and this was the elite team they sent. A rookie squad. They stayed for one meal, then left, escorting Zabuza and Haku back to Konoha. The bridge construction proceeded smoothly. Despite Zabuza's failure, Gato sent mercenaries to interfere. Naruto wasn't interested in the Ronin. Their moves were sloppy, their chakra pathetic. They were the perfect opponents for Sasuke. At first, Sasuke struggled against them, but after a few days, he could handle them easily, taking down groups at a time. In a week, the bridge was finished. They returned to Konoha, with Tazuna shamelessly in tow. He felt Naruto's warnings about Gato rang true. Civilians couldn't stand up to him alone. They needed Konoha's protection. The bridge was his bargaining chip for Konoha's support. Back in the village, Naruto and his friends resumed their routine, taking on low-level missions to keep up appearances. But the missions were less frequent. Unfamiliar faces began appearing, wearing Konoha headbands. A sign. Then, one day, Team 7 was summoned. Kakashi handed them 3 application forms. It's sudden, but I've nominated you for the Chunin exams. Naruto took the form. The requirements were listed at the bottom. One was, Genin must have completed 8 missions, including at least 1 C-rank mission. The 3 of them met the requirements, so that's why, the rush to complete missions wasn't his imagination. Was it all for the Chunin exams? He glanced at Sasuke, then himself. Were there enemies from other countries that Genin couldn't handle, forcing them to intervene? Kakashi said, go to classroom 301 at the academy by 4 p.m. tomorrow. Prepare yourselves. Good luck on the exams. That's all. He looked at Naruto, then at Sasuke. The Wave Country mission report was vague. ANBU couldn't get too close. Naruto's senses were sharp, and he'd notice, but 2 things were confirmed. Naruto hadn't contacted any suspicious outsiders, and Naruto was strong, jounin level, easily, but Kakashi suspected that it wasn't Naruto's limit. No proof, just a gut feeling. Chapter 29 White-haired glasses and dark circles. Please read and vote. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Chapter 29 White-haired glasses and dark circles, Chunin exam time. Sakura clutched her registration form, glancing nervously at Naruto and Sasuke. Should she even bother signing up? Sasuke was a powerhouse now. Ever since unlocking his Sharingan and training with Kakashi-sensei, he'd leveled up big time, and Naruto? Forget about it. He was practically Jounin level already, but what about her? She'd picked up a few sealing techniques from Naruto back in the Land of Waves, but she was basically the same as when she graduated. You gonna sign up or what? Naruto noticed her hesitation. Sakura, flustered, nodded slowly. Kakashi-sensei didn't spell it out, but you know how he's always been about teamwork, Naruto said, waving his form, so, bet your butt, the Chunin exams are gonna be team-based. Sakura's eyes widened. You think that Land of Waves mission was planned? Sasuke, having finally read the registration form like Naruto did, picked up on the certain mission reference and connected the dots. Kakashi pushing them to continue made more sense now. Naruto nodded. If you don't sign up, I doubt Sasuke and I can either. What? Sakura blurted out. I'm hoping you'll participate, Naruto said gently. And, since it's my fault for dragging you into this, I'll make sure you're safe during the exam. Same here, Sasuke muttered, hands in his pockets. Sakura blushed. I know. Naruto grinned. See you tomorrow, then. He vanished in a flash. Sasuke turned to Sakura. Are you gonna stay stuck like this? Sakura blinked, confused. Why had it always been like this? You're not weak, Sasuke said, leaping onto a nearby wall, you just lack confidence. Plus, you have Naruto and me backing you up. Naruto's crazy strong, Jounin level. And I'm pretty damn strong myself. I unlocked the double Tomo Sharingan the other day. I'm basically an elite Chunin. Sasuke just gave her a look before disappearing. Sakura didn't quite get his point. Was he saying she was holding them back? The next day, at the Ninja Academy, the trio met up. They entered the building and started up the stairs. A crowd had gathered in front of classroom 301. 2 genin were guarding the door, trying to keep the other Konoha ninja from entering. They were proctors disguised as candidates, using illusions in the hallways, but the illusions weren't exactly high level. Naruto and Sasuke could see through them in a heartbeat. Sakura could spot the cheap trick too. She was about to keep moving when a kid with a bowl cut and a green jumpsuit jumped out. Introducing himself as Rock Lee, he confessed his feelings for Sakura and then blatantly challenged Sasuke. Sasuke, predictably, took the bait, and they started sparring. Rock Lee was something else. Even with his newly unlocked double Tomo Sharingan and his improved taijutsu and ninjutsu, Sasuke still lost. Sasuke, who'd been riding high on his recent power-up, felt a wave of frustration. He'd accepted he couldn't measure up to Naruto. Naruto was a genius on the same level as Itachi and Kakashi-sensei. After all, he could even accept being weaker than Haku, since that guy had a unique bloodline, but this bowl-cut weirdo in green spandex, why couldn't he compare? Kakashi was waiting for them outside the real 301 classroom. Like Naruto had predicted, it was a team-based assessment. After confirming they were all present, Kakashi officially gave them the go-ahead to enter. He pushed the door open. The heat from the hundreds of bodies packed inside hit them like a wall. Most of them were adults, dressed in all sorts of crazy outfits and wearing headbands from different villages. There were also a few familiar faces. Teams 8 and 10, who had graduated the same year, were there too. The 9 of them were obviously the youngest people in the room, and they instinctively huddled together, chatting with each other. Naruto hung back. He was staring at someone. That guy strong? Sasuke asked, following Naruto's gaze. It was a red-haired kid who looked about their age. His skin was pale, and he had dark circles under his eyes. A scarlet love symbol was tattooed on his forehead. He carried a massive, gourd-shaped pack on his back that was almost as big as he was. Yeah, he's powerful, Naruto confirmed. He now understood why the village had been so eager for him to take the Chunin exams. He could smell the tailed beast on that guy. Stronger than you? Sasuke asked, his voice serious. Naruto looked down, gripping the hilt of the Kyubi sword. Without this sword? We're probably about equal. He'd chatted with Kyubi about tailed beasts. According to Kyubi, tailed beasts were ranked by the number of tails they had. The one-tailed Shikaku in Sunagakure was the weakest tailed beast, with only one tail. Sasuke nodded, thinking it over, without a sword. So, Naruto was basically an elite chunin barehanded? The dark-circled ninja noticed Naruto's stare and glared back, radiating menace. Chakra surged around him, and they heard the sound of small objects rubbing together. The two ninjas beside him flinched and tried to calm him down. Naruto narrowed his eyes. Was the one-tailed Jinchuriki always this jumpy? He was ready to kill just for a glance. Curious about him? A voice suddenly whispered in Naruto's ear. Naruto jumped back in surprise. He stared hard at the person who'd appeared beside him. He was tall and looked like an adult, with white-gray hair and wire-rimmed glasses that made him look unremarkable. Relax. I'm a Konoha ninja too. I'm your senior, after all. Call me Kabuto, the man said, raising a hand harmlessly. I just noticed you were curious about that ninja, so I thought I'd help. With a flick of his wrist, a fan of cards appeared in his palm. These are my ninja info cards. They contain pretty detailed information about that ninja. Wanna take a look? Naruto looked at him, surprised. This guy. Just a genin. His chakra wasn't much weaker than Kakashi, and he'd hidden his presence so well that Naruto hadn't even noticed him at first. This guy was definitely Jounin level. You're just handing out info? Naruto asked skeptically. That's awfully nice of you. We haven't even met before. Yakushi Kabuto leaned in. You don't know me, but I know you, Uzumaki Naruto, the up-and-coming genius. And Uchiha Sasuke, another famous genius. Sasuke scowled, saying he was as famous as Naruto. The gap was huge. Was this guy trying to insult him? Kabuto Yakushi continued, you're both gonna be big names in the village someday. It'll only benefit me to get on your good side now. So, wanna take a look? It's not perfect, but it's got some useful stuff. Naruto looked at him. Alright, Senior Kabuto. I want info on the Sand Ninja. Sasuke piped up, and Rock Lee from Konoha. Naruto paused and looked at Kabuto. Senior Kabuto, how about you give us your information too? Kabuto Yakushi looked surprised. Why are you interested in me? I'm just a regular genin. You're strong, Naruto said bluntly. You feel almost as strong as that Sand Ninja. Kabuto Yakushi gave a shy smile and scratched his head. Oh, you're too kind. But sorry to disappoint you, Naruto. I'm weak. I've failed the genin exams 7 times. I just have a naturally weak presence. It's not a special ninjutsu. It's not just you, Naruto. I've been mistaken for strong many times before. Naruto stared at him, he didn't believe a word of it. Chapter 30. Do you want to know my name? Please read and vote for me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 30. Wanna know my name? Read vote. Yakushi Kabuto laid his cards on the table, so to speak. 7 years at genin, impressive on paper. 163 D-rank missions, 28 C-rank, your run-of-the-mill, average Joe genin. Nothing special, you can't always take someone's word for it, especially when they're trying to prove something, but producing that record does say something. Hard to fake that kind of history. Too many eyes on him for 7 years, so, he's holding back, just tagging along with his teammate for the exam. Makes sense he'd befriend the village's hotshot. Sasuke had Rock Lee, the taijutsu expert, pegged. Memorized his stats. The Sand Village Jinchuriki was Gaara, but intel was thin, just mission logs. Beyond those guys, Naruto spotted a few other interesting characters. Some ninjas with Otogakure headbands kept their eyes glued to Sasuke. Red-haired ninja chick from Kusagakure. Her chakra gave him this weird sense of connection. Then the first exam kicked off. A written test. The rules were a little off. Supposed to be individual, but grades were by team, and they practically encouraged cheating. Get caught cheating, and they dock you 2 points each time. Mess up 5 times and you're out. Besides Izumo and Kotetsu, there were some seriously strong ninjas. way beyond genin level, filling out the test like pros. No doubt, they were plants, there to leak the answers and get everyone else cheating, so, the exam wasn't really about knowledge. It was about gathering intel while staying under the radar. The last question, Mori no Ibiki, the examiner, dropped the bomb. Fail this, and you're stuck as a genin forever. That freaked out anyone not confident in their intel game. Next up, the second exam. The examiner was a real firecracker, all business. She took them to the next site. I'm Mitarashi Enko, your proctor, she announced, carefree and loud. Round 2 is simple, survival. She laid out the rules. Each team starts with either a heaven or earth scroll. Goal is to snag both and haul tail to the tower in the training ground center within 5 days. Naruto was zoned out, his eyes stuck on one of the grass ninjas, tall, wearing a bamboo hat with sin dangling from the edge, long hair, kinda feminine vibe. The guy looked familiar. He'd caught a glimpse of him when he was checking out the red-haired girl. Back then, his chakra wasn't this strong, but now, crazy powerful. Even Gaara seemed weaker. Better than Kakashi, even. Only Sarutobi Hiruzen came close. Huge difference, some kind of special hiding technique. The grass ninja was super sharp. He felt Naruto's stare, snapped his head around, grinned, and stuck out his tongue. The second exam officially started. Teams were led to their entry points. The examiner gave the signal. Candidates entered training ground 44, the Forest of Death. What do we do? Sakura asked, nervous, clutching a kunai. Sasuke glanced at Naruto. Naruto can sense ninjutsu. Nobody can touch us. Let's just grab the right scroll and book it to the tower. Naruto shook his head. Gaara's a tough one. And that grass ninja. Don't underestimate him. Sasuke was taken aback. Don't underestimate him. That meant. Let's find someone, Naruto said, sensing spiritual energy floating around. I'm curious about her. Her. Sasuke and Sakura were surprised. Naruto didn't seem like the type to be interested in girls. Who is she? Sakura asked. From our village. Probably not Ino, maybe the Hyuga heiress from Team 8, quiet, but high profile. A red-haired grass ninja from the exam, Naruto explained. They remembered, hard to miss the red hair. Her chakra makes me feel connected. I want to ask if she's related to me, Naruto continued. Sasuke whispered, Naruto, is she from your clan? Maybe, Naruto shrugged. They moved through the forest, hearing ninjutsu and screams, some teams already scrapping, but nobody messed with them. Yeah, Naruto's team was young and looked easy, but they gave off a don't mess with us vibe. Suddenly, Naruto stopped. Sasuke and Sakura froze. What's up? Sasuke asked. Naruto stared at the ground under a tree. Come on out, grass ninja. You're strong, no need to ambush 3 genin. The ground shifted, dirt arched up, forming a human shape, sharp senses. Can't hide anything from you, huh? He held up a scroll with on it, Earth Scroll. What's yours? Mind if I take a look? Naruto grabbed his kunai. Cut the crap. You're not just some genin taking the exam. You snuck in for a reason. Who's your target? Me. Or Sasuke? The grass ninja was surprised. What's your name? He already knew the answer. Blonde hair, Konoha, sharp senses. Uzumaki Naruto, Naruto announced. Looks like Sasuke's your target. After the Sharingan, the grass ninja laughed. Bingo, the Uzumaki kid, Minato's son. Interesting, he said softly. Coming back to the village, and I get to meet a surprise like you. You were after me before the second exam? Naruto interrupted. Shouldn't you introduce yourself? My name? The grass ninja flicked out a long, snake-like tongue, licking his lips. 2 sharp fangs flashed. His vibe shifted to something dark, serpentine. If you want to know, prove you deserve it. Show me what you've got. Chakra surged, murderous intent filled the air, scaring away birds and bugs. Sasuke's eyes widened, hand flying to his forehead. He felt like he was already dead. Support Shihu. Thanks to Bright Firefox for the reward.